Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to have a look at the BENELUX tree for Aviation. Now, right now, there isn't any ground stuff for BENELUX. Instead, it is just the Aviation subtree in the French tech tree. And there's no Luxembourg vehicles, because, well, let's be honest, Luxembourg doesn't really have any military aircraft. So instead, it's mainly Belgium and also the Netherlands that are here. The first vehicle that is in the subtree is the Gladiator Mark 1. This is either similar or the same as the vehicle in the British tech tree. It has access to 4 7.7mm Browning machine guns and also the Bristol Mercury 9 engine, which means that it can flap about the place. I've always enjoyed the Gladiator. It's one of the first vehicles I ever played in the game, so it'd be really cool to see this vehicle once again take to the skies and have a bit of fun with it. But as a starter vehicle, it's definitely better than some of the other French vehicles that are in the tech tree. Moving up to rank 2, we have the Fokker G1A. Now this one is really awesome. It's really cool for a few reasons. First of all, it has the Bristol Mercury 8 engines, which give it pretty good takeoff power. And something you might have noticed in the center of it is it has this array of guns. It has 8 7.92mm FN Browning M36 number 3 machine guns, all in this ridiculous row. It has 4,000 rounds of ammunition between the 8 guns, and it's just going to wreck anything that's in front of it by basically just giving it a ton of paper cuts. The other thing is it has this turret in the back with a 7.92 as well, with a gunner, and I want to show you something really cool about this turret too. It does have some secondaries too, so a 400 kilo, 300, 100s, and 650s, so you can use it in the fighter bomber role and also in a ground ordnance point. The bombs actually are stored in an internal bomb bay as well, which is sat here right under the pilot, and you technically have some glass that you can use to bomb with if you are the gunner, but I don't think it works like that in the game. But just to kind of show you something that's really cool about the turret from this vehicle, it actually rotates 360 degrees, which I think is pretty awesome. The cockpit unfortunately isn't in yet, but I'm pretty sure it will be soon. And at the same time, this thing can carry a ton of fuel if you need to do like simulator missions or if you need to have a bit of fun. This, as I said, the firepower in the front, even though it's quite small Browning machine guns, it'll have a good time just tearing apart anything that's about. And then you can see here the bomb bay door, which is in the center here. So I think that's really cool personally, meaning that you can carry some pretty decent ordnance if you want to, and use it in ground. So just to kind of show you about the turret before I explode myself again. So you can't really see it from this view, but do you see how it's kind of turning? I'll put it all the way down. You can see the coverage is all the way 360 around you. So the turret can shoot all the way over. But if you have a look at it resetting, you can see that it actually rotates all the way 360. Now the problem is this means that the actual gunner rotates his arms all around, which obviously isn't great for him. But yeah, it looks really cool and means that you have 360 coverage behind you. The only thing that gets in the way is, of course, the tail itself. So yeah, that's pretty awesome, and I don't think we have that on any other plane, a rotating turret on the back. Maybe the Uhu has it, the Focke-Wulf 1A9, but I don't think it does. So yeah, the Fokker's coming in, looks really cool, very much looking forward to playing this. Then you have the Firefly. Not really looking forward to playing this. This is the F Mark 4. It has 4 20mm Hispano Mark 5s, so it hits like a truck, but the problem is it doesn't have a great engine on it. It's the Rolls-Royce Griffon 74, and that is a good engine, but the airframe itself is awful at flying, and it's way too heavy. So even with this good engine, it doesn't move it around. You do have some nice secondaries though. You have some 1000-pounders and also some rockets, along with the AP ones and also the RP3s. The cool thing about this as well is it does get secondary loadout straight off the bat. So firepower-wise, you're great. It's just overall maneuverability and going around the place, it isn't really that good. The vehicle does have some really cool combat flaps though, or just flaps in general, meaning that you can bleed speed super quickly and catch people out, but you're generally not going to have a great time dogfighting in this. Then you have the Spitfire FR Mark 14E. This is a clipped wing Griffin Spit, so it's going to roll really well, and also with the engine and the general flight performance of the Spitfire, you're going to have a fantastic time. It doesn't have Mark 5 Hispanos, it only has Mark 2s, but you have enough firepower to be able to take anything out. You also have the 50 cals instead of the 77s, which give you a little bit more oomph too. So overall, this will be really fun. It has a great climb rate, it turns really well, and also it has the Griffin engine for it, and also a 500-pound bomb, so will work very well as a kind of CAS aircraft, but also just an air superiority aircraft, and that is really awesome. The Meteor F Mark 8 also makes it in. One of the cool things about the Meteors in general is they actually added external tanks to them, so external fuel tanks. If you don't know about the Meteors, they don't actually have a ton of fuel, so the external fuel tanks are kind of needed, especially if you want to extend the battle. It does have the Hispano Mark 5s, which is really good, since the earlier Meteors got nerfed and only have Mark 2s nowadays, and it does get access to some rockets if you want to. So no bombs on this one, only rockets, and also the externals. So you, I don't know why you can't take a bomb on this one. I feel like you should be able to, especially with how this is set up in the center, but who knows. You can always drop the externals whenever you want and carry on fighting there. So you have that. Then the Hunter F6. This is slightly different from the British Hunter F6. The British Hunter F6 has access to SRAMs, which are, depending on who you ask, very good or very bad, and also depending on when the game feels like it, are either very good or very bad. Right now, I'd say they're not in the greatest place, and probably a lot worse than they used to be. This Hunter has two AIM-9Bs. So it has the 430s in the center. It has the Rolls-Royce Avon Mark 203, but the major difference between it and the British one is the Mark 3s. Everything else I'm pretty sure is the same, doesn't get access to any ground ordnance, and the AIM-9Bs are rank 3, which is a bit of a pain, and I wish it was slightly different. So yeah, the vehicle is going to be a bit rough, but both of the F6s in the game are. Talking about a vehicle that won't be as rough, the Mirage 5BA. This one is looking pretty fun. It's based off the standard Mirage 5, but what it has access to, instead of just having a very powerful engine in the Sneg Miritar 9C, it also has countermeasures. So this one, unlike the Mirage 3C and the Mirage 5F, does get countermeasures, which is really cool. And it gets 60 of them in total, which is awesome. And it also gets access to missiles, 2 AIM-9Js, so you can bring those along. It does get AIM-9Bs as well. And it can get drop tanks if you want, and drop tanks which can hold bombs if you feel like it. The vehicle doesn't get access to CCIP, so for the bombs you'll have to guide them yourselves. And maybe you could technically use this as a bomb truck, but as a person who's played all the Mirages, I would highly recommend using this as an air-to-air fighter. You'll have a fantastic time in it and just really enjoy yourself in Air Realistic. Then you have the F-104G. This is most similar to the German F-104G. It has 4 AIM-9Js, so in my opinion, worse missiles compared to the AIM-9Gs. They don't have as much burn time as them, but they do, turn quite well and also have good guidance time. It's just that you can't fire them from as far out. But with an F-104, with the speed that you have, you don't have to worry as much about that. The countermeasures as well are really nice, 410-7. The vehicle has access to 60 of them, which you can see are sat on the back here, and of course has that crazy powerful engine. The vehicle does get access to bombs if you want to use it as a CAS aircraft. Good luck to you if you do. It does have CCIP, so it makes it a little bit easier, but it's not easy to do. and it does have the 20mm Vulcan, which is really nice, the huge General Electric engine, and a small radar on the front, just to kind of help it out. The next step up is the two F-16s. Now, the F-16s are kind of interesting, because they're both of Belgium descent. The first one is the F-16A Block 15 Fighting Falcon, and the difference between this F-16A at 12.0 compared to the American one at 12.0 is this has access to the AIM-9Ms for some reason. If you actually compare this to the American one, which is sat over here, the Mirage, sorry, not the Mirage, the American F-16A Block 10, this has access to only the AIM-9Ls. It doesn't have access to the AIM-9Ms, and that kind of sucks. But this one at 12.0 does have the AIM-9Ms, which is super weird. So yeah, it doesn't get access to anything else from a air attacking point of view, but does get access to extra bomb loads and guided bombs too, which also can bring additional countermeasures. So if you want added countermeasures on top of what you already have, you can bring a bunch of bombs and 180 extra ones. So making, what, 240 overall, which is quite nice. So yeah, you have the RWR, you have the radar, and also just access to a bunch of ground stuff, which you can use for CAS, and AIM-9Ms at 12.0, so this one will be pretty good. The last one in the tech tree is the F-16AM. This is a Block 15 MLU, so is upgraded compared to the other F-16 that we have. The big difference is the armaments that it brings along. It gets the Lightning pod, the Lantern targeting pod, which is a thermal pod. It also gets the AIM-120, the AIM-9Ms as well, so active radar homing missiles, and it gets access to a bunch of ground ordnance too, including the Paveway 2s, which are there. The AGM-65Gs also turn up, and the standard AGM-65Ds too, which are probably the ones you want to bring. But if you want to bring additional kind of countermeasures, which are there too, and that is pretty nice. So this vehicle has access to all the cool stuff you would want, which is pretty nice too. So not too shabby, not too bad. It's looking like a pretty nice tech tree overall. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.
I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.